everyone. Thank you so much for, first of all, coming along to our talk. I know it's a busy old week, so we really appreciate you kind of coming in and seeing us here and listening to our talk. We're going to be about 30 minutes, and we'll have the opportunity for questions at the end. If you have any for any of us, or Wendy or Carolyn, you can ask at the end. First of all, introduce myself. I'm Hannah. I'm the marketing executive here at Wendy Morrison Design. And this is our lovely panel. So we've got Wendy Morrison, who is our creative director here at Wendy Morrison Design, and also the designer of absolutely everything that you see in this room, all of the fabulous rugs and wallpaper and fabric, and yeah, everything really that you're looking at is all designed by Wendy. So Wendy started designing rugs in about 2004 and has since grown the business into what it is today. So we've been at the design centre for about 2 years now, and yeah, we're having a great time here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do. Absolutely. And this is Carolyn Palk of Ashton House Design, and Carolyn, you started the company in 1992.
3 decades ago.
And now works with a fabulous team of 8 members of staff in Devon. Yeah. So the reason we're kind of here is that we had the opportunity to work together on this wonderful house that we just wanted to shout about and tell you all about and show you all about. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and our custom rug service, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about rugs and how we feel best to use them in the house. So yeah, as I said, we've got questions at the end, but without further ado, I think we'll just start. Yeah,
absolutely.
Perfect. So Carolyn, I will start with you.
Yes.
If you could just start by telling us a little bit about the project.
Yes.
Also, as well, we'll have some images on screen so you can kind of see what we're talking about.
So we were approached by a client who had bought a lovely big detached 1920s house. But it was extremely bland. It was white and grey and sparkly, and thankfully our client didn't like that, and she wanted to fill her home with colour and pattern, and basically pretty maximalist. And so that was our brief, really, you know, kind of fill your boots and give us a lovely home. And actually her words to us were, I want our home to feel like I'm walking into a hug, which is such a lovely brief. So off we went. So, you know, kind of finding you was a great part of that journey.
Amazing. And I think just by the visuals, you can definitely see the house gives you a hug as soon as you even look at it, even just from some of the images. And Wendy, what do you kind of consider the joys of rug design and custom rug design?
I think it's just having that lovely, unique piece for your space, and it makes that space even more special. But obviously, you can design your colours, your position your furniture, and have something that's going to hope last forever in that space and bring you joy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carolyn, this project, you had 3 custom size rugs for the project. How do you think that they kind of enhanced your scheme as such?
Well, I mean, I think we were including the pieces from the outset, really. So I mean, they are particularly like, this one you've got up on the screen, I mean, it was going into her library, and it's such a kind of conversational piece. It was centre stage, really, so it just enabled us to kind of think about doing this lovely, I mean, that photograph's a bit overexposed, really, but it's all of the joinery and everything was all bespoke, and it was in a lovely sort of charcoal, so when you walk in there, it just felt so rich.
Yeah.
It was lovely, so... yeah, and I think this kind of idea, I was talking when we were talking earlier about this, about walking into a room and kind of like your eyes are kind of going everywhere, and I think that's lovely. It's not just one focus. So often it has to be, you think it has to be the kind of fireplace or the, whatever it might be, and it's just so lovely to have a space where you're just like, there's so much to kind of inspire and kind of stimulate you, and I think that's great.
And always finding something new.
Finding something new, and seeing something new every time, you know, it's lovely.
Absolutely. And Wendy, can you kind of talk us through the creative process of working with a client and then designing a kind of custom rug for that space in particular?
Well, it's important to understand what the client is looking for, what their likes and dislikes are, the feeling of the space that you want to create as well. So that would be using colour, selecting design, yarns and for texture. Again, I guess mostly likes and dislikes, just to get the feeling of what the customer is looking for.
I think that's really nice then, you know, from your perspective when you work with an interior designer, obviously we're having all those conversations. So by the time we come back to you, we've got quite a good brief actually. I mean, that's kind of making your job really nice and easier. Because we've had the difficult conversations often about budget, which is kind of a big one. Yeah. And then, you know, we already know the design we're probably interested in. Yeah. We're talking about colours. We're talking about whether we want wool, whether we want wool and silk, whether we want that silk to kind of bring those designs to life, all of those things. So by the time we come to you, or kind of during the course of our conversations, we've sort of got a good brief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, so.
And it kind of sounds like from that, then the rug point needs to come in quite early in the...
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, we're going on to our next question probably, but yeah, definitely. I think that... you know, we often do want to start with a rug. It's, you know, it may be sometimes a wallpaper, or it might be a fabric, but definitely a rug, because it's usually quite a big thing in the room. So I think kind of starting with that is a brilliant idea, and I think it's something everyone should kind of look to do really, rather than kind of like doing your whole scheme and then think, what am I putting with this?
Absolutely.
But I know obviously you can do that with bespoke rugs, because you're kind of choosing all your palette, and you know you're really up for kind of tweaking things and changing things. But I think it's really good to start with it,
can really
if you can.
Set the scene, can't it?
It absolutely
and then
can.
Build from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And Wendy, kind of a lot of your designs have storytelling at the kind of focus of them. How do you think that this element kind of comes into translating the client's vision in the kind of bespoke or custom rug?
I think that comes from their desire and kind of the feeling that they want to create, and you know what considerations there are for the space. We did a nice project with the distillery I mentioned to you before, which was inspired by the Phoenix. They liked that, but it was in Scotland, and they were like, could we have it a bit more Scottish? So kind of translated the Phoenix into a pheasant, and we had a snow herd.
It morphed.
And then but they still had the essence of Phoenix, and then we also had some sort of natural local flora and fauna from the area, which wasn't too far removed from the original.
What did the palette kind of end up being then? If
it was
you
more
know,
muted.
Yes, I thought you might say
Scottish.
that. A bit more Scottish, a bit more heathery kind of.
Yeah.
Generally not the colours that I would.
But your natural palette.
I did have lots of sparkle in there. So
yeah, with the silk. Yeah.
But it was visually very your design. It was a real kind of collaborative project, wasn't it? That one, and it was beautiful. The end result was really, really lovely.
And they must have been thrilled to have something kind of so bespoke to their business.
Yeah, it's a really good project to work on.
Yeah,
nice.
I think again it was just all about creating the feeling that the client wants. If you're looking at bedrooms, something more restful. So if you're looking at restful elements, if it's a hallway, you might want to elevate your mood as you enter.
We did on this project. We did use all of these rugs downstairs. I have to say, we did calm it down a little bit in some of the bedrooms, but it was great, because actually, we had lovely big we had lovely big spaces. We were spoilt with the space, so it was nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Can you give us a bit of an insight into collaborating with Wendy and kind of what you feel made the process so unique?
Yeah, well, I think you were just, as a company, you were just really, really helpful and approachable, and nothing was ever kind of too much trouble. And we did lots of, because we're in Devon, which often we feel like we get a bit penalised for, because driving up here today yesterday 4.25 hours to get here in the car. It's not, you can't just pop in at a drop of a hat. And it's a great shame, because we love coming here and soaking it all up. But you did make that kind of distance thing. It was just not an issue. Yeah. We did loads of stuff over Teams and looked at designs, and then developed designs and worked out the kind of how we wanted the silk content and all of those things. And then I think we changed the scale a little bit as well to suit the size of some of the rugs. And that's all then put into kind of artwork. Yeah. Had all these lovely things, all these tufts, to work with. And so by the time that the rug was going into production, we knew everything about every detail. So, which is really, it's a nice feeling
Yeah.
that you feel completely in control of your
Yeah,
project.
that's
So just, it was just a lovely process. So thank you.
Our pleasure. I think our studio is based just outside of Edinburgh in Scotland. So I think that kind of that Devon, we also
You get it. You
yeah,
get it.
yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So, but we definitely make such a conscious effort to kind of make our service available because we have worldwide clients, really, don't we? So, and we love connecting with people everywhere. So that's a real kind of joy of what I think we do, and we just want to make it as kind of easy as possible.
And I think there were never any surprises.
Yeah,
and I think that's really important with anything bespoke. Because it's a huge responsibility for us and for you, and investment, and you don't want any surprises at any point on the journey. You just want to know every step of the way that you know exactly what's happening and then what you're going to get.
Absolutely, yeah. Wendy, what do you think are the kind of most important factors to consider when somebody's choosing a custom rug? So, kind of from a material point of view, craftsmanship point of view, sustainability.
Well, craftsmanship obviously determines your budget.
Yes.
That's probably quite a key point, but also it's kind of the fundamental things of what we do. Obviously, we've got hand knotted in Nepal, which is all thanks to wonderful artisans there, and then there's the hand tufted quality in India, and again that's thanks to artisans there. But these two qualities are quite different and create a different product, but both have longevity at the core. So we're talking maybe 15 years for something tufted, and then a sort of future heirloom in something knotted.
Yeah.
So last forever.
And I think that's just such a big thing that there's so much design and product that's just here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I just think we should all be about including these things which really are built for longevity and are things that your clients can then pass on to their children, and it's just a lovely way to kind of design homes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've kind of spoken about our rugs a lot as being future antiques, and that's really what they will be, and investing in kind of your future with them.
Yeah.
And Caroline, what kind of do you think in your experience are the benefits of a custom rug versus just kind of an off the shelf?
Well, I mean, it has to be the unique quality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then, for a client, knowing they're getting a one-off and something that has been woven for them, for their home. I just think it's just it's a wonderful privilege that they have, that they can do this, and for us to be suggesting it. So I think that, and the longevity we've talked about, and also obviously that you can size everything. It's not one size fits all. So we just love kind of getting our heads into plan drawings and working out best scenarios, best layouts, and then what size is this rug? It's not a 4x3, funnily enough. It's it's 2.76 by something random, and then great, happy days. And then it's not with Instagram and everything that's all out there. We're surrounded by it. It's just also lovely to think that they can't actually really see the thing that they're going to get. Particularly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we spoke about was that kind of during our custom process, we'll share content and images direct from our workshop with the client.
And our clients, our client loved that. To see her rug kind of being made, just so much of it, and then it's growing, and to see the place it's being made. I just think, what a lovely story. We did a lovely photo book for this client after we finished the project, and we included some of those imagery in there,
lovely.
just as like a keepsake for them to say this is our journey together, and it's really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely, we get a lot of feedback on that, don't we? That it's something that people just
because it's a long wait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long process.
It is a beautiful process.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Wendy, colour obviously plays a significant part of the design process for you. How do you kind of approach colour when it comes to custom pieces, and people might ask for those tweaks, or
probably the most common question for colour is something that's, I guess it's the base colour normally, isn't it? Whether it's going to be, is it going to show up marks, is it going to be forgiving? I think that's probably something. zebra leopard palms, I think, is very forgiving
Very.
in that sense, because I do see her as a neutral actually, but an ultimate neutral in the fact that she's very grounded. But then she's got a sprinkling of colour all around her.
I love the way you call your rugs. She.
It's lovely.
That's my friend.
They definitely are she's, aren't they?
Yeah.
Somebody
Very
did call
feminine.
them a man once.
So no.
Oh.
No, colour's obviously about,
Yeah.
you create the emotion as well of the space, don't you, and the feelings,
Totally.
so
Yeah,
it's good.
totally.
But I would say probably our most popular custom are neutrals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
something that has longevity to it.
Yeah, easier to live with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Phoenix Moon that's just on the floor there, we kind of launched that within last year, didn't we? And that's been
Popular.
really popular for custom pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Caroline, how do you kind of guide your clients on choosing a rug, and kind of what are your best tips to how they should then kind of place it in the room? And
Well, we probably touched on it a bit, but I think, I mean, for us, it's all part of our interior design
Yeah.
service. You know, it's what we do. It's part of the whole process, and rugs are a really important part of that. So they just become part of what we're doing. Really, they're integral to it. I think.
yeah,
I don't think there's ever a room where we don't put a rug.
yeah,
You know, and sometimes it's a rug on a rug.
Yes.
It's like, really? Yes.
the more the better.
Yeah, well, like your butterflies. I mean,
Yeah.
can't you just imagine that on a lovely rug?
Just-
You know, on
Yeah.
a beautiful rug. They kind of,
Totally.
yeah. So, yeah, I think it's just part of what we offer, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of kind of new designs, so the butterflies, if you haven't seen, they're just around the corner. We just launched them, so they're kind of a trio of 3 butterflies, hand tufted,
Yeah.
that can be really added to any and all spaces, just wherever you feel a little sprinkle of butterflies should
flutter.
be. Exactly.
If I
A
fancy
little
a flutter.
exactly. But Wendy, you've also just designed our newest collection, which is called Kajaku, which is the purple rug you will have seen when you came in with the runner. And we've also got a couple of cushions as part of that collection. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about the collection, Wendy?
Yeah, so she was inspired by Walter Nichols. I don't know if you've heard of this designer. He was a 1920s American designer who went to China to sort of revamp the Chinese weaving industry of the time, but quite American. And he sort of started creating these pictorial rugs in vibrant colours using the silks of China. So that's been an inspiration for a long time, and I guess Kajaku was an opportunity to use purple, because I haven't, you know.
Is that one of your
Purple.
Is that one of your
It's
favourites?
not, I was feeling really drawn to it last year. I thought, oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
time for
It's
purple.
time.
We don't have any purple, so you know, and I think she's also telling a story as well with the different elements around the mountains, the clouds, the water, and the plum blossom and the peacocks, obviously, which are sort of share the story of grace and glamour and kindness and beauty. So celebrating the
Nice.
peacock and
Yeah.
rich, iridescent colours.
How do you think that those pieces will work well for a custom?
I was thinking Kajaku will customise really nicely,
Mhm.
because she's got space within
Yes.
her, and she's got the border, and you know, we can play with the details, the motifs.
Will you ever sort of do that prior to anyone even sort of settling on it and say,
Yeah.
actually, I know it's in this purple, but actually, how about this, just as
Yeah.
well, just to show
Yeah.
you as kind of,
Because we did the runner actually
Yeah.
in a more accessible sort of green.
yes.
But
Yeah.
also, I mean, it just shows that the colours, you can play with colour.
Yeah, and then they look like different rugs,
yeah,
don't they?
Totally
They really
different
do.
feeling.
Mhm.
I really like it when you show a runner going up the stairs.
Mhm.
I think that's a lovely use of one of the rugs.
Yeah, we've had a couple of projects actually. This was a
Oh
project
gosh, look
in
at that. Amazing.
Washington, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Washington House.
Wow.
And she was from Floral Waves, but we actually tufted her
Yes.
just for cost, because it was
Yes.
quite, I think it was like 3 or
It was
6 stories.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
But she did translate well
Yeah.
into tufted.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah. Brave.
Yeah. And we've
Very
had
brave.
a few since then, haven't that
You
kind
know,
of.
ever since, every time we show that image, it seems to inspire another
Yeah.
stair
Wow.
runner,
Absolutely. Why not?
which is good.
Yeah.
Just pop that to the. Yes, I didn't have the Kujaku photos up there. Yeah, so that's the
green one.
the
With
runner.
the boots.
Yes, always a pair of shoes.
I love
Always.
the boots. We all need a pair of those, don't we?
Absolutely. And Caroline, what would be kind of your one piece of advice that you would give to somebody when considering a custom rug?
I think you just got to trust the process, because it is a process, and I think you just have to kind of follow that, and you know, and trust in who you're working with, really, which obviously we did.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We will open the floor to questions if anybody has got one.
Hi, yeah, my question is, you obviously have a large client base, both of you separately or even together, and I wondered how you felt your clients found you, and how, any techniques you can recommend, the platforms or the different ways are the most successful. And also, please, Wendy, can you speak up a bit, please?
Oh yeah, I get that a lot.
She's got a very gentle voice, which is very nice. Well, you have the massive Instagram following, so let's hear yours.
I guess it did start through Instagram. A lot of my following came about, but I think, I suppose a digital following. So that's, and then now we're trying to build B2B. That's why we moved into the showroom as well. So yeah.
I mean, for
social
us,
media.
you know, it's definitely our website is our kind of platform, and obviously social media.
And then there's word of mouth.
And then
obviously,
word of mouth, you know, and doing a great job
Good
for
job.
someone, and then they tell someone else, and then you have a reputation then, and you're, you know, that's marvelous. I mean, we've like I said, we've been in business quite a long time now, but our clients come back to us, you know, 15, 20 years on. It's like, yeah, can we redo that space now? It's done really well, but we really think we need an update.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's so lovely.
Yeah.
And it goes for the next 15
Oh,
years.
nice.
That's a good question, yeah.
What's the time frame to do the carpets, like depending on the size, of course, and if it's hand tufted or hand knotted?
Yeah. So hand tufted,
It's quicker.
this one is quicker. So we're talking maybe 8 to 10 weeks, and then for hand knotting, 4 to 6 months, depending on the size and the intricacy of the design. It's quite a bit.
But when you're running a project,
It soon flies
you know,
by.
well, yeah, it really does, doesn't it? I mean, a lot of our projects, you know, we get involved very early on, and they might run for a year. So, you know, having that rug in that process of that time frame is really not a problem for. Depends what you're doing for the client.
Exactly.
If someone wants something like that, then that's probably not one of your rugs.
Yeah, no.
It's more considered.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, they're obviously they're handmade, so they're absolutely worth the wait, and
It does come around.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. I
It's
know.
worth the wait, I would say.
Yeah.
It's worth the wait.
Yeah, of course.
Was there any other questions at all?
So Wendy, how did you start with your first product was rugs, or did you start with fabric, or with wallpaper?
Yeah, it was rugs.
Rugs, and then you added.
Yeah, just to sort of make it more accessible. I mean, I think people kept asking, "Oh, you do the rug, but you know, what do I put beside it, or what do I use alongside it?" So then it's felt like a natural progression, and obviously the designs are pictorial and they lend themselves quite nicely to wallpaper as well.
And from the three, which one's your best seller or your most sell product?
Probably Birdsong Yellow or Shanghai Blossom.
Yeah.
Intense colour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We've seen on the screen and anecdotally the rugs on floors, on stairs. You've got them in the showroom on the walls, which is lovely. Do you know that clients are using them as artwork on the walls as well as on the floors?
We have, we have had clients use them on the walls, and they've even put lighting around
Yeah.
them, which
Yeah,
is
nice.
lovely.
I think it's an underrated thing. People sort of think of rugs for floors,
Yeah.
but actually, you know,
It's good for
and
texture,
in
isn't
terms
it?
in terms of budget, I think some people, fortunate people, don't think too much of spending quite a sizable amount of money on a big picture to stick on the wall.
Yeah, artwork.
You know, you can look at a hand knotted rug, you know, and it's can be no more than a modest painting from somebody up and coming. You know. So I think it's is there a constraint on the size? or is that just a question of number of people working on it?
Well, we can make different sized looms. So
Mhm.
there are really big looms. Obviously, the bigger, the more weavers are required. But we can join as well. So there's really
Mhm.
no constraint.
We
on
definitely
that.
haven't met it yet, have we?
Haven't we?
No.
I mean, physically, they must.
Well, obviously
Mightily
shipping.
heavy.
And shipping.
Yeah.
Shipping. Shipping.
Yes, nightmare. It's the worst part, isn't it? Probably. of
Yeah,
all
but
of
I
it.
guess we would probably fold in
Yes.
smaller pieces and then join on site.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always a way.
There's always yeah.
Mhm.
There is.
Mm.
Where do you produce India, Nepal?
Yeah. So the hand knotted ones are made in Nepal and the tufted ones are made in India.
Do you get to go out
Yeah.
fairly regularly and
Probably not enough,
no,
but
you go
yeah,
and
yeah.
check in and
yeah, it's lovely to be there.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Happy place.
Yeah.
know.
I think it's lovely as well because it's such a lovely art, and it's just lovely to be
Mhm.
supporting
Yeah.
such a
think
skill
it's
and
really
to keep it
important,
to,
yeah.
to keep that going. I think is really really
Mhm.
important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's definitely the reason that we produce in Nepal and India, because they are the best.
They are the best.
Yeah, they are
Yeah.
the best, and
Yeah,
yeah,
It's
I think
for good
important that we-
reason.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's important that we continue to empower the weavers
Yeah.
to want
Yeah.
to do this job as well.
Yeah, definitely. Mm. Mm.
Perfect. Yep.
Good.
It's obviously a very surface pattern, and I just wondered what inspired you to kind of start on rugs.
It was just a moment of serendipity. So I just met a rug manufacturer who was actually looking for some design, and I was actually designing clothes at the time. And they said, "Oh, would you consider designing rugs?" And I said, when I went to see the process, I thought, "Oh yeah, I can do that." And that's
Great.
it seemed like a natural progression from clothes, fashion to the house. I was busy renovating the house at the time, and rugs are obviously something that you want to put on the floor. And
So is your house full of all of these lovely? He's nodding.
Great,
Yes.
yeah.
Is it just like an absolute blast of colour and pattern
I
everywhere?
think so.
Oh, lovely. Lucky you.
Our house is a lot of the photography you see in our
Mhm.
I
websites
thought that
from-
might be.
Yeah.
Hmm. Nice.
That's where it started.
Does it? Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Why
that's
not?
kind of how social media started for us. It was easy for me to create vignettes in the house of just my newest rug and sort of style around it, and then people just started to like it.
Mm.
So that's kind of where it all came from.
But to transfer from likes to actually orders,
Yeah.
that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, well, we have the shop button, don't we?
Yeah, that's your
I think just to add to that, when we started on Instagram, it was like 2017. It was a very different
Mm.
app from what it is now, and we would literally spend no money advertising, all organic, and the sales were just going out the door. Now it's completely different because Instagram and Meta, who own them, wanted to make money.
Yeah.
And recognised that they could target people like us and say, right, you're not getting any more organic traffic, you're going to have to start spending money on this. And that's where we are. We've had to move from being relying on organic to spending money to actually drive traffic to your website. So unfortunately, that's the way it is nowadays.
That works.
It works for us, yeah. I mean, I think we're quite unique in the sense that we have a very visual product
Yeah.
that really
Mhm.
jumps out
Yeah.
on social media.
It's very
You know,
unique.
if you had a very plain rug, it might be harder. But and I think we've got a very niche, loyal fan base
Yeah.
that just you either love it or you don't loathe it. Nobody loathes it, but it's just maybe not their cup of tea. So tend to, if people like what we do, they love it, and,
Yeah.
and they'll hang around and be interested in what we're doing next, etc.
Mm.
It is really difficult. It was a timing thing for us. We had a bit of momentum because Wendy had been working with John Lewis, doing some designs
collaborative.
Collaboration for 5 years just before social media, so we had a bit of a following by then, but then social media just went bang. I don't know what the answer is now, if I'm honest.
Apparently now people have like a 2-second time slot.
I know.
Before they're just scrolling.
And they've got well, and then they've gone.
2 seconds to get your attention.
Yeah.
I think now it's probably about collaboration more than anything.
Yeah, because then that reinforces, doesn't it? It's like, they're good with them, and that backs it all up.
Yeah, find people to collaborate with.
Yeah. And it's really nice as well, because
It's
not very nice, kind of
It's
like being
been
working in
lonely.
a bubble. We all need people, don't we?
Yeah.
And it's really nice then if you also, I mean, we're really lucky, I think, in our industry, because we meet so many like-minded people, which is nice. But it makes a big difference.
It does.
Sharing ideas, it helps everyone.
Sharing passion.
Yeah, definitely. And because you have to have the passion, because it's
Yeah.
really hard work.
Yeah.
Don't believe anyone that says it isn't, because it is really hard work. It's kind of all-consuming.
Do you copyright each design or no? Because you don't produce many.
I can answer that one as well. Sorry if I'm
No, you come. I think you come and sit.
we actually have protection on the brand itself, so like the Wendy Morrison trademark, but we don't copyright individual designs. It's really expensive to do that. But there is an inherent copyright in anything that you design. So if you've designed something, you own it. And there's a few things you can do to maximise that. There's protect my brand or something out there. A website, quite inexpensive, and all you need to, I think it's like £45 a year, and you can just put your designs up there, and that's a form of recording that you put that design up
with you.
there. We have a battle against eBay. Is it eBay?
Etsy.
Do you?
So a lot of copies for our designs end up in Etsy.
Just cheap.
So we've devised a method to tackle them, and a lot of it just relies on proof of when that you created the design prior to them putting their version up, and that's enough for people at Etsy. So that's the best thing to do, because it's really expensive to actually individually copyright them.
But then someone like Etsy, they're never ever going to be doing the sort of all of this artisan rug making, are they? They're just in it for a quick mass production, get it out cheap. I mean, it's a very different
It's actually
place.
Indian manufacturers.
Is it?
Copy.
Is it? Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we're on top of that.
Well done. That's good to know.
And we keep it fresh.
Well, and and you're
That's
coming
it.
up with all these lovely
Yeah.
designs regularly, aren't you? And yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
good.
everybody. Thank you so much for coming along, and thank you, Wendy and Caroline. If you have any other questions, we'll be here. And please do have a look around the showroom, grab another drink if you would like one. But thank you so much for coming along.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
That was good.
Very good.